Hello, Savannah. Thank you for tuning into Real Estate Real Talk with Julia M. Spencer. Thank you for tuning into my show. Today is April the 8th, 2020, and I am broadcasting right here live from downtown Savannah near Troop Square. And I'm really glad that the guy with the leaf blower just left the window because it was so loud in here. I don't know if you can still hear that. But yes, we're definitely very much live, and we're glad that you tuned in to our station here. You're listening to WRUU-LP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul. And on my show, we talk about anything and everything related to real estate investing. I'm a small business and a small investor right here in the city of Savannah. I have a couple of Airbnbs, a couple longer seasonal rentals as well, in other places of Georgia as well. And on my show, we basically just talk what all I'm up to and some of the things I run into. And of course, right now, we're talking about how this virus crisis is actually affecting the market. And I'm going to play another song because I think he's getting really loud again out there. I'll be right back after this. I got a couple questions, and we're going to be talking about some of the things that you can do right now in this down market, I guess, since our tourists have left the city pretty much. And some of the things that you can do to get prepared as a small investor, real estate investor, right now to get yourself prepared for when this pandemic is over, and it will be over. So I'm very confident, and I'm going to give you guys some suggestions and a couple other things that I've been up to in the last couple days. So stay on, don't go anywhere. This song is by the Sundays, and it's called Here's Where the Story Ends. Stay on. Thank you for tuning into Real Estate Real Talk with Julia M. Spencer. I'm really glad that you're here. And on my show today, Real Estate Real Talk, we're going to be talking about a couple of things that you can do as a real estate investor while you're basically sheltering at home, hopefully, not going out too much. You can, of course, indulge in your favorite Netflix series and stay in, cook at home, and eat healthy foods as we've been doing. But a couple of things that you can do on your investment side, on your career side as well as a real estate investor. As you know, if you've watched my show before, listened to my show before rather, I'm a real estate investor here in the city. So a lot of the states in the country have issued foreclosure moratoriums, which basically just means that there is a stay in place ordered for any kind of foreclosures for the next anywhere from 60 to 90 days. In some places it's longer. And there is actually a website that kind of identifies each one of those states, and we're going to be talking about that. But at the same time, we have a very lively, usually at this time of the year, tourist industry, of course. And, of course, everybody has pretty much left town and has gone home to stay with their families and shelter in place as well. So a lot of us have lost our business basically in the tourism industry, and we have a lot of time on our hands, at least I do anyways, with my Airbnbs. I incidentally have actually all my listings booked at this point. However, these are not vacationers. These are people that are here to work and hopefully are staying a little bit longer. So I'm finding myself with a lot less turnovers and a lot more time on my hands, which I very much appreciate. And if you've ever listened to my show, I'm always an optimist about everything. And my heart goes out to all the people that are being hurt right now by this pandemic, of course. And anybody that is sick or is in the hospital or has died. And I'm really sorry for all of that. It's just horrible. But for the rest of us that are still feeling okay and staying at home, here are a couple of tips of what you can do as a real estate investor. I kind of accumulated that list a little bit yesterday. One of the things that my suggestion anyways, and I guess before I give you these tips, I want to just say that the viewpoints expressed in the following program are not necessarily those of WRUU, its license holder, or its staff. And so let's just go through a couple of these points. One of them is basically hoard cash and utilize your credit and interest. And we're going to talk a little bit about credit and interest in a little bit in one of the next segments. specifically how it applies to the small business area. And but basically right now is a good time to kind of like hold on to your cash. You're not going out to restaurants for the most part. I mean, if you get takeout orders, of course, that's still allowed. But most restaurants are closed anyways, bars too, and you can't go out and party. And Savannah is a very lively party city usually, but hoard your cash, keep your cash close by, and you'll find, at least I found this, cooking at home is actually much more efficient in terms of the financial side, and it's actually kind of fun when you get into it. So, and then check out and see what your all your credit lines are on your credit cards, maybe your interest rates, see if you can maybe move some stuff around. There's always some cheaper offer available, or in your mailbox, probably the mail is still working. So check and see and revamp basically your credit picture right now. That might be a really good thing to do as an investor. I do this periodically after every couple months or so, or every twice a year or something like that. I'll see what the interest rates are, if I have any introduction offers for credit cards that are low or zero interest, where I can maybe move some stuff around, and basically just analyze what's available out there. Not on credit cards that I know of right now, but of course, if you're a user of PayPal or some of the payment services out there, of course, and if you have loans like PayPal loans or something, a lot of these have suspended the requirements for payments, and a lot of mortgages also have suspended the requirement to make mortgage payments at this time. And I have several mortgages, and all of them have given me basically a forbearance for 90 days, which is great. And I'm definitely taking advantage of that. At first, I was kind of hesitant because I was thinking, okay, there's a forbearance, but then after 3 months, they're going to ask for 4 mortgage payments in 1 month. I can't do that. And but what I've read since is that the banks will work with you and either add the additional payments at the end of the loan, or else kind of spread them out over many, many months or maybe even years. I don't know exactly the details. I'm still waiting for that information. But if this is something that's helpful to you, maybe if you're a short-term vacation rental host here and have mortgages, even if you're a homeowner, that might be something to really check out. If you go to your mortgage company's website, your bank's website, or you can even call them. A lot of them are actually working from home, and so you can still call them up and ask them what the requirements are. And a lot of this is kind of like still in the gray cloud. The companies are still trying to figure out how to manage the spread of this lack of income, of course, for them as well. But how can they make this easier for the credit owners to allocate future payments over a longer period of time? So this is kind of like a target that's still moving. But it doesn't hurt to sign up and see what happens. That's exactly what I'm doing. Even if I may not need to have my payments suspended at this time, I'm going to do it anyways, just to see what's going to happen and kind of educate the rest of us on what's going to happen a couple months down the road. It's going to be some interesting times and interesting couple months, and we're going to figure this out together, I guess. So utilize your credit interest. With that, of course, also comes the fact that you should utilize any kind of forbearance periods on any kind of mortgage payments or credit payments that you have. And this is now a really good time to sit on your couch, put on your favorite movie, and start reading some of the stuff that comes in the mail to you right now, because that's pretty much all you can do. And of course, hoard your cash, which isn't that hard to do at this point. And incidentally, I've actually realized, and probably all of you have, or many of you anyways that are listening, that not going out as much and not going to stores as much, I mean, you don't really need to. It actually is really, really good on your purse and your money pocketbook, I guess. So we've been able to save a little bit, so that was great. The second point that I wanted to mention is what you can do in this downward trending market right now is to look for opportunities. I am predicting, this is my own speculation and my thoughts, that after this crisis is over, a couple months down the road, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for real estate deals to be made. And we're not going to see anything right now, of course, because of these mortgage moratoriums and foreclosure moratoriums right now, as well as people are going to be, catching up, of course. Not everybody's going to lose their home. But just look for opportunities. There might be people that have maybe were on the fence and were thinking they are going to be selling properties and kind of held off and are waiting right now. But maybe even some other people that haven't really thought of it and now maybe are considering it more. I'm in the same boat. I have a bunch of properties that have just been sitting there, a lot of land also here in Chatham County that I've kind of had no particular need to sell right now, but I'm not really using it either. So, if push comes to shove, I might be listing those properties. So look for opportunities. If you're a real estate investor, you can do that, of course, from the private comfort of your home again while you're watching a movie. Catch up on your favorite movies. I've been doing the same. And you might be finding some really great opportunities coming down the line. And of course, unfortunately, as with any depression, people will be losing their homes. That just comes with the territory. And I just predict that there's going to be a lot more properties for sale and a lot of people buying as well. So we're going to have a lot of changes here. So if you're a real estate investor, a seller, a buyer, but also if you're a real estate agent, I am thinking, anyways, my speculation here, don't take my word for it, but there's going to be a lot of changes and a lot of traffic in the housing market here in the next couple months. Another thing that you can do, and this is something maybe for my colleagues here at the radio station and also the other influencers, YouTube influencers and content creators, this is a really, really good time to produce content, more and more content, I guess. So if you are a prolific YouTuber like I am myself, and if you are here on the radio even working, but even if you're just maybe a teacher or you have always thought about kind of putting your knowledge out there, and this is really the time to do it because this is when people are actually at their computers at home and will be interested in tuning in and watching stuff. So this is a really good time to create content if you're an author, if you're a writer, if you're a teacher, any kind of profession that has an intellectual nature with it. This is the time to create your content and maybe even think about how to promote that content in the future, in the coming months, years down the road. Diversify your career, by the way. If you've watched my show before, I guess, or if you listened to my show and watched my YouTube channel, I guess I should say, you know that I'm a really big advocate of not putting all your eggs in a basket, no matter what career you're in. So I'm always advocating, I did this last week on my show here as well, to choose a career path or business ventures anyways that kind of fill gaps with each other. So if one business venture that you're in might not be doing as well right now, maybe the vacation rental business, or if you have rental properties, might not be doing very well right now, you might have another business that's kind of filling that gap. And in my case, of course, it's education and instruction and personal consulting, which I can do online and through webinars and right here at the radio station, and kind of fills the gaps because, the less people are traveling and doing outside adventure things and engaging in tourism, I guess should say, are staying at home and now listening, reading, watching stuff online. And I'm creating the content for that. Incidentally, today at 2 p.m., we're going to be having a webinar, and that's free also for your information if you're interested. You can find information about that, of course, on all my social media, Julia M. Spencer, my YouTube channel as well, and it's free to sign up. We have about 16 or 17 people signed up at the 2 o'clock session today, and we have another session scheduled at 8 p.m. tonight. So if you're still interested and you want to, tune in, we're going to be answering individual real estate questions. And all you'll have to do is just send me an email if you're interested. It's realestate@juliamspencer.com. And if you can't join us, just send me an email anyways with your question. I'll be glad to answer it. So that's just a free PSA, I guess. And there's no obligation. There's nothing to buy anyways, and no subscription or, I'm not going to be selling you anything. I'm actually going to be on those webinars with my life coach and mentor, Todd Wilson. He has like a ministry background, but he's very good with helping people get clarity with their careers and with their personal lives and relationships like that as well. So we're offering that pretty much as a free service, and that's just available. And we're going to be doing that for the next couple of weeks, so I'll mention that on my show again, so you can just check that out if you wanted to for more information. All right, we're almost at the bottom of the hour, but I think I can squeeze in one more thing, a suggestion that you can do to take advantage of the downward trending market. Virtual hangouts, and that kind of like goes into hand with what I just was talking about with the webinar. Virtual hangouts is really cool. I've done things in the last week or two that I would have never even thought of or even had time to do in terms of virtual hangouts. I've gotten signed up for Zoom, which incidentally I think crashed last night because so many people, I guess, were using it. But you can hang out with people that normally you maybe even wouldn't be talking to all over the world. And people will be coming on because they need that social, personal connection still. And this is great. So I got to catch up with friends from high school, try to find what they've been up to. People I've met briefly during my travels that I've always wanted to touch base with again, but hadn't had a chance. And also, of course, my students and my consulting students, people have bought my audiobooks. I've been able to get on these virtual hangouts and hang out with them and interact. And Facebook, incidentally, has a couple of these groups, actually, and I'm not even sure what the name of them are, but I was invited by some of my friends, where artists are doing live performances all day long. All you have to do is tune in, and the person, I think last night I was listening, it was 2 a.m. I was getting ready for this show as well as my webinar today. And I was listening to The Drunken Fiddler, I believe. And he's basically a violin player that gets tipsy and plays the violin. Excellent performance, by the way. But he was able to interact with his audience, actually talking to him because people were leaving them messages. This is great. This is how you can get with your artists and with your performers that maybe at regular concerts you wouldn't be able to get so close to. This is amazing. So virtual hangouts, that's something to get into, but you can also use that kind of methodology to connect with a network, basically, with people, with business partners maybe, and start to talk about business ventures. Last night I was with on the phone as well, or on a Zoom meeting actually with my colleague, with my life coach, and we were coming up with all kinds of ideas for new products. And I'm really super excited that I have this time. I'm really grateful for this time. It's not really exactly how I wanted to get the time, but now that I have it, I'm really grateful it's there, and I really encourage you to utilize this time as well. And I know it's gonna take forever until April's over, it seems like. But when it is over, and it will be over, you'll be glad you've had this time to, do the things that you normally don't have time for. And one of those, of course, is also spending time with your family more because you're together with them at home. So I have a couple more points here that I wanted to mention, some more suggestions of what you can do to take advantage of the downward trending market. And we're going to get to those right after our half point here at the break. It is now 12:29, and you're listening to WRUULP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul. I'm going to play you a couple of announcements, and then I'll be right back with a couple more suggestions for you. So stay on, don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
This is a message from the Georgia State Department of Public Health. There is a State of Georgia hotline people can call with questions or if they think they may have been exposed to the COVID-19 virus. It is 1-844-442-2681. If you believe you're experiencing symptoms of COVID-19 or have been exposed to the novel coronavirus, please contact your primary care doctor, an urgent care clinic, or your local federally qualified healthcare center. Please do not show up at an emergency room or healthcare facility unannounced. More information can be found at dph.georgia.gov. Now you have a chance to support both Savannah Independent Artists and WRUU during this shelter-in-place order to stop the spread of COVID-19. Creatives in Need is a group of independent artists hosted by the Roots Up Gallery, which is collaborating with WRUU during this shelter-in-place to offer an online art gallery at www.rootsupgallery.com. For every work of art sold at this online gallery, the artists receive 80% from the sales and 20% goes to WRUU and its programs like Art on the Air. Interested listeners can go to www.rootsupgallery.com to start shopping today. Voting is now open for Connect Savannah's annual Best of Savannah Readers Poll, and WRUU is once again on the ballot. Last year, you voted us best in the local radio station and talk radio station categories. Continue your support of WRUU 107.5 FM by again voting for us in the Best Local Radio Station and Best Local Talk Radio Station categories. And this year, vote for your favorite WRUU morning program and favorite WRUU host. Voting ends at 11:59 p.m. sharp on Sunday, May 3rd, and results will be revealed the night of Tuesday, May 19th. For details and voting, visit connectsavannah.com. And as always, thank you for listening to, supporting, and voting for WRUU LP Savannah.
Thanks for tuning in here for Real Estate Real Talk with Julia M. Spencer. And thanks for sticking on with me here. And we are talking on today's show about some of the things that you can do as a small-scale investor like myself in order to keep yourself busy, but also to kind of take advantage of the downward trending market. And this is to take advantage, but not, of course, disadvantage anybody, of course. And I got a couple more points here that I wanted to mention, and then I'll give you some more information on this mortgage moratorium that we're have in place right now and what that even means. So another thing that you can do, of course, while you're at home sheltering in place is reading, lots of reading. I always love to read, and I have lots of books at home, but unfortunately with the speed of our life these days, all I've had time for is basically some audiobooks. So what I did is I canceled my Audible membership, and believe it or not, when you do cancel it, you still have access to the books that you've already purchased, and use up your credits, of course, before you do that as well. And you can listen to your audiobooks forever. They're not going to go away even if you cancel the additional payments. I found that out too. I actually never wanted to cancel my membership because I thought I would lose all my audiobooks, but that's not the case. And but you can actually read like normally, like normal people used to do in the back days with actual books. I love it. And that's just not been part of my life anyways. And I'm really enjoying catching up on books that I'm meant to read for a long time. And these are real estate investing books, as well as regular books on all kinds of topics, history or, documentary type books and biographies, things like that. So reading, this is now a really good time for reading. Now, if you are stuck at home and you need to get out, I believe that reading outside is also a great option for you to get some fresh air and as well as get some relaxing time in. Really utilize that free time that you have if you have it, if you're not working, obviously. And you will not regret, just like exercise, reading is something you're not going to regret. Of course, cycling, running, relaxing goes without saying. That's one of the things that we really have time for right now. I remember yesterday we stepped out of our complex, their little community where I lived out on Whitmarsh Island. And I said to my son, I've never seen this many people outside. There's people walking their dogs, people running, people staying at a safe distance, having conversations in the middle of the day on a Tuesday. And I've never seen this before. We have a tennis court where I live. And in my 3 years that I've lived there, I've seen people play tennis there maybe a handful of times. And now every time I look out, there's somebody playing tennis. It's amazing. It's great. People, of course, staying at a safe distance, and these are usually people that live together anyways that are playing. There's no large crowds or anything. But I'm just amazed at really a lot of the good things that might happen to people as well who are going to be, healthier after this month. Yeah, and of course, you can always engage in more research as well if you're already at home. I have made myself a little table at home with a bunch of sticky notes where I'm starting to write down all my to-do lists and removing sticky notes as the thing is being done that's on that sticky note. So I have a new process of to-dos, and laundry is always done, the house is always clean, food is always cooked. I mean, it's amazing. You need a pandemic to actually figure out that a lot of the trips and a lot of the things that you have to do every day really aren't all that necessary. And when you cut all those things out, your life actually becomes easier. So less is more in this case. I definitely believe that. So I really hope that you kind of agree with me on that. You can, of course, disagree as well. And utilize this time the best that you can. So those were my couple of tips of things that you can do to take advantage of the downward trending market. Some of the things that I'm doing right now, of course, I'm creating content like crazy. We've actually produced an additional audiobook. My life coach and retirement expert, Todd Wilson, produced a book the end of February, beginning of March. So we're still in the editing process of that. And that's going to be coming out fairly soon. But also YouTube. I'm trying to make YouTube videos every day and post them. And was able to even engage my son into helping me edit them. So the process of editing them and putting them online as well as these radio shows is actually going a lot faster, which I'm very grateful for. And of course, if you wanted to listen to this show at a later point in time, it will be posted on my YouTube channel. And that's just Julia M. Spencer, my name. But you can also find it right here on the website for the radio station. It's wruu.org. If you go to archives and Wednesdays to my time slot, which is 12 to 1 p.m., you can find it there. And I look forward to any comments, suggestions, and feedback, anything that you may possibly have for me, or show ideas as well. I'm going to try to come into the studio here live for the next month or so. And we're going to, kind of update you on what we've been up to. And I have a couple more updates for you. I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about this mortgage moratorium, what it means and how it applies to our area here. And I'm going to find that information for you right now. And we're going to get on the next segment, the last segment on, and talk about that. But I also wanted to give you some information for small businesses and grants and loans that are available right there on those websites as well. I'm going to share that information with you in just a moment. So stay on, don't go anywhere. We have another break song we're going to play here in between, and I'll be right back after that. So stay on, don't go anywhere. Thank you for tuning into Real Estate Real Talk with Julia M. Spencer. And I got a couple more pieces of information for you. And specifically, I was going to tell you a little bit about this for mortgage moratorium, what that actually means. And also there is a thing called a forbearance. Of course, if you have more questions about this, please don't hesitate to contact me directly. My email is realestate@juliamspencer.com. But basically, what they're saying, and this information is actually coming from the consumerfinance.gov website, and you can look that up yourself as well. But basically, there's the government has put in some mortgage relief options for you, and if you can pay your mortgage, of course, they want you to make the payment. If you can't pay your mortgage, then you should really contact your mortgage service provider immediately. But there is a new federal law, the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, which is the acronym is CARES. It puts into place 2 protections for homeowners with federally backed mortgages. So one is, of course, the foreclosure moratorium that I was talking about earlier, and also the other one is the right to forbearance for homeowners who are experiencing a financial hardship due to the COVID-19 emergency. And this, however, applies to federally backed mortgages. So you may have other options if your mortgage is privately backed, or if you have owner financing or something that doesn't apply to this. So this is just for the federally backed loans. And basically, what does that even mean? I want to just briefly go over that. Of course, you can read that on your own as well on their website. But basically, a mortgage forbearance is when your mortgage servicer or lender allows you to pause or reduce your mortgage payments for a limited period of time. Forbearance doesn't erase what you owe. You'll have to repay any missed or reduced payments in the future. And if your income is restored, reach out to your service provider and resume making payments as soon as you can. So depending on what kind of loan you have, there are different forbearance options. And if that option is available to you, you should definitely contact your loan service provider, your bank basically, that your mortgage is through. The other thing I was mentioning was the moratorium. That's basically just something that stops and suspends foreclosure at this point. So that is when the lender is actually in the process of taking back the property after the homeowner fails to make required payments on the mortgage. And foreclosure processes differ by state. And there is basically on that website, you can actually go there directly, consumerfinance.gov. There's information about each state and how it works in each state. At this point, and please don't quote me on this, but I think there is no moratorium here in the state of Georgia, but I could be wrong about that because I've looked this up about a week ago and it could have changed by now. So definitely check on that. But in some states, there is a moratorium that stops and suspends foreclosure. So you have a house that may have been already in foreclosure or about to. You have a little bit of a relief from that for a couple months. And the way you find out what you qualify for is you basically first figure out who services your mortgage, and that's the bank that your mortgage is through. So that is who you need to contact to find out what your options are. So I don't know if it's Bank of America, Wells Fargo, whatever, whoever you get your statement from for your mortgage, that's who you need to contact and basically ask them what options are available to you. But then the other thing that's very important to find out is if your mortgage is federally backed, because the CARES Act only applies to federally backed mortgages. So, and you can check up on that, of course, and that's the HUD loans, the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and so on, the VA. Depends on who backed your mortgage, basically. And you can find that out, of course. Half of the nation's mortgages are owned or backed by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, obviously. And you can look that up online, who your mortgage is backed by. And there is actually a link on this website where you can find that out, basically. So that's really in a really, really small nutshell. There's a lot more information on this website, and I'm going to be talking about that in my next show and a couple other shows as well. If you have more questions about that, I can make a special show about this as well. But I wanted to also briefly tell you about another thing before I get off the air, because I really only have a couple minutes here. But if you're a small business like myself, even if you're Airbnb host or if you're a sole proprietor and you've lost income, there are funding options for you available through the Small Business Administration website. That's SBA.gov as well. And there are 4 funding options that you can see right there on their funding programs coronavirus relief options website. Again, if you need that website, please contact me, realestate@juliamspencer.com. I'll send you the link. But there are loan advances. They call them loan advances, but when you read on, it actually is a $10,000 advance that you don't have to pay back, providing you meet special requirements. So that applies to small business owners with 500 employees or less, and also sole proprietors. And there's also something like a paycheck protection program that also applies to sole proprietors. These things are really easy to apply for. I did it in about 10-15 minutes the other day. Haven't gotten anything back from it, but there's a couple other options as well. You have SBA Express Bridge loans, as well as SBA debt relief funds as well. And with debt relief funds, so this is when you've already have an SBA loan that you can apply to have that loan forgiven, or have also a forbearance for this. And most federally backed loans have some sort of process for forbearance right now anyways. So if you wanted to check that out, that's on the SBA.gov website. It's great information, and especially that some of these options do not have to be paid back, and you do qualify even if you are a sole proprietor, which was something that I was really interested in, because I really don't need another loan. But if it's something I don't have to pay back, I certainly don't want to leave any money on the table. So that's some information for you. Hopefully that's useful to you. And check that out. If you have more questions, realestate@juliamspencer.com. I stand by with your suggestions, comments, of course, anything that you have to ask me. And we do have this webinar at 2 p.m. today. It's free, and it's really easy to register. Send me an email, realestate@juliamspencer.com. Be getting ready for that right after this show here, so in about another hour. And I hope you can join us if you want to. This is all for information, answering questions. And after me, right here in the studio is going to be a show called Mother Beat. It's African music with African roots. It's hosted by Ben. And I'm going to get off the air so he can get ready and get himself prepared for that. I hope you can join me again next Wednesday. My show is on from 12 to 1. It's called Real Estate Real Talk. My name is Julia M. Spencer. And stay safe out there. Stay inside. And thank you to anybody that is out there working, our police, our healthcare professionals, anybody that's stocking the shelves in the grocery stores, our truck drivers, and everybody else who's supplying us in this difficult time. Stay safe out there, and talk to you guys soon. Have a great Wednesday, everybody.
Free guide to real estate investing. Visit juliamspencer.com.